step into the future where the beats don't stop, with a not centralized show ready to drop. Talking AI, blockchain, the tech that's hot.
Hey folks, it's Mark here for another not centralized show, the NC show. I'm here. I was supposed to have a guest. It was going to be for the Oz DeFi show along with DSAI. We will have that guest on talking about financial scams in the crypto space on another time. And then next week, it's exciting because we've got Hannah Glass from KWM joining us. So we'll talk about crypto and the law. She's been in the space for a little while, so it'll be great to get her insights on the ebbs and flows and how things have changed in that space. But for this week, I'm talking to you at the end of day one. I think it's 4:30, so it's still ongoing a little bit, of day one of Blockchain Week over here in Sydney. So this is the big event that every year Blockchain Australia gets everyone together across different cities and even other countries to fly in, and basically we were going around to other cities in 2022. 2023 we were also going to other cities, and then this year it's just all in Sydney, though I think there are other events going on during the week. WA Web3 is doing something over there in Perth, but the point is that the industry is getting together, so we'll get to that soon. So before I get to that, it was a great weekend. There was work on, but it was quite the enjoyable kind of work for us at Not Centralized. We were helping out Real Vision, which is basically the investment and analysis and research firm that was created by Raoul Pal and its community group that is all over the world. If you look on their Discord, they've got members all over, and apparently they have the third largest group is Australia. So it was great to get that. The reason we were able to get that was because Raoul Pal himself flew into Australia. He was here in Sydney on Friday and Saturday, and the Real Vision community was able to pull some event together that was held here with the very backdrop of the Opera House, and we had it here. We filmed it. That is now over to the crew over there at Real Vision, and obviously Club dVin, and dVin, which is decentralized wine, so VIN, dVin, and they have some really great insights into the world of luxury wine and why did they bring blockchain into it. So we heard some great talks there from their founders, Dave and Yana, and it was really great to see that there is such a great community of wine lovers, especially here in Australia. If you're Australian, you know how much we love our wine. Hunter Valley here in New South Wales, Barossa over there in South Australia, etc., Yarra in Victoria. There's a lot of great wine connoisseurs and people that are just interested in decentralizing various sorts of supply chains. So Club dVin, we thank them for basically coming together along with Real Vision. I think Raoul is an investor in that. And it was just great to have them as a panel up here on stage. And we learned about why they started. And it wasn't blockchain first. It was tech first to solve problems. It just turns out that blockchain is the best kind of technology for that. What was interesting is that in many industries, as Dave said, there is a problem that's solved around usage and buying behavior and patterns. There's a lot of data from the finance world. We call that alternative data because you had your earning statements, accounting type stuff, and what was happening with share prices, and anything to do with supply chains that you could get your hands on, whether it's satellite imagery data or something else, that was called alternative data. But we've got a lot of that in terms of purchasing and buying behavior, not a lot on consumption. And unlike industries where you buy a car, you see someone drive it away, you buy a luxury good or whatever it might be, or even like a phone or a watch, you see people wear that. With wines, and especially luxury wines, they can sometimes sit and not be consumed for over 10 years. So that rich form of data that people can get from that sort of stuff, this is where blockchain came in, because what they've done, they've got a smart cork that when it's opened, something is recorded onto a blockchain, and a token is created. You get a consumption token, a VIN token. So it's really clever stuff using, I would say, like IoT type devices along with blockchain as an immutable record. And it's like frequent flyers. You get this record that you have consumed it, that something has happened. You triggered this event. And what do they get to do? They've got the rich data. They can now reward you with loyalty and other things there. They're also doing things around how they can help how blockchain can help with the supply chain. So really interesting stuff. I'm really excited to see what comes out from that. And I think Real Vision and Club dVin will be sharing something on that soon. So keep an eye out for that. As mentioned, we had Raoul Pal here, and I have to say, I don't know about you guys, I've shared it with a few friends. I think that for some people, it's the first time they're just discovering, who this guy is. And for others, they have known him for longer than I have. Some even worked with him before over in London. So shout outs to Drew and others who knew Raoul and are old friends. But for me, coming into this space 2.5 years ago from a world of not really knowing the blockchain tech, you have to look for patterns. You have to look for those aha moments where it just clicks, and the reasons why this technology is good just clicks and relates back to you. And Raoul Pal and his podcast, along with other guests that he's had, or whether he's been on someone else's podcast, he had something with a guy named Robert Breedlove, and it was on the global macroeconomic framework, and some really interesting stuff that they had there when I was looking at that in late 2021 that just really clicked. And one of those was what led to the creation of things like Bitcoin. And the GFC was what drove that, but what led to the GFC and the overconsumption that we had, and what led to the overconsumption? And it was this pattern of having continuous wars in the early 1900s to the early 50s and 60s, and the Vietnam War and all of that, World War I, World War II, the conflicts before that, and all the stuff that led us into the 60s and 70s, and even the Cold War. And that kind of era of just like tension around the world, which led to the baby boom, that led to these overconsumption type things happening in the world, that led us to GFC, and we eventually got Bitcoin after that, and obviously blockchain technology that people are building on further. So it's really interesting to hear the history, because there's reasons why these things happen. They don't just occur in a bubble. It wasn't just something magical that just came out of nowhere. There are reasons for all of this kind of stuff. And when you look at the patterns, it's something that you hear a lot in markets. It may, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And when you see these kind of rhyming patterns, it's whether you're in it to invest or you're in it to just find the new wave of technology that you're going to ride on, which is AI or blockchain or even quantum, just how those things may play out. It's important to look to the past. So make sure that we don't, repeat the mistakes of that past, and we pave a way for a better future. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen out of all of this. But to the man that helped me really understand what this was all about, and seeing the patterns and the similarities, because he came from Goldman, so he's come from that financial markets background, seeing the similarities with traditional finance, the stuff that I knew, was really helpful. So if you're interested in getting into the blockchain space, and you're coming from a marketing background, an operations background, whatever background it is interesting to see where are those aha moments that you get. Sometimes you might even get to meet those people that gave you those aha moments, take a photo with them down by the opera house or something, or just be part of the community that leads you to this. So if you're coming to the meetups and events, we wish you well. We hope that you are getting something out of all of that. I mentioned that it was Blockchain Week Day 1 today. So what was interesting there was that today was the day that they made a massive announcement, and it's a name change. And actually, I should say massive announcement, because it wasn't just a name change. So Blockchain Australia now moves to the Digital Economy Council of Australia, or DECA, DECA, new logo, new name, new journey, new future. It's also an announcement of a changing of the guards per se. So Simon Callahan, who has been there for a year now, he is moving on back into industry, and it's this chance now for Amy Rose, who has been a stalwart in the place, along with Marilee and Christy and Matt and others and all of the board. Now, Amy Rose gets to take charge and lead us into this new journey, this digital economy future, which is not just only blockchain now. It's fintech, it's payments, it's AI, it's security, it's IDs, it's trust. It's really interesting to see all of these things coming together where blockchain can play a part in. And it really is that digital economy future that we're building all of us together, whether you're coming to the events, you're working in the space, or even if you're just interested in this and seeing how it can apply to the everyday work that you might do. You might have looked back maybe 5 years ago and it wasn't so clear how blockchain would play a part in your work. But now when you see what it can do with supply chain, with remittance, with trust and IDs and so much more, you're starting to see just the value of blockchain technology. There's a lot of people that work in AI and they haven't yet seen that blockchain can actually be quite helpful, because in a world of AI, that future where we know it's just going to be inevitable, it will be synonymous with almost everything that you're doing in work. How do you know that a human has had a role in something? How do you know that a human has had a part in what is being done with the AI? I think that blockchain is going to help provide that proof of human. We're going to be able to sign things digitally to attest, digital attestations, that a human was involved, and it's only me that could have made that signature. And better yet, when we use things like zero knowledge proofs, we're going to be able to prove things about those IDs, those signatures, those pieces of human-led information that can only be proven through not just having to send the data, because in the real world, that's what we currently do. But with ZK proofs, we can actually have something where there's no data that's actually moved across. All it is just a true or false. So ZK proofs are really going to pave the way, coupled with blockchain, to improve how we do things with AI. So watch this space. It's going to get really, really interesting. Some of the other highlights that we had on stage today in day one of Blockchain Week, we had Senator Andrew Charlton, and he was talking about the potential for blockchain industry, despite its current small size, to have outsized gains when it comes to what it can do for other industries. So this is not something that only helps itself. It's actually something that can help other industries as well. He also spoke about the importance of technology in government for growth and enhancing living standards. So it's important for the government to embrace this and embrace it early. He also highlighted the need for blockchain to address the slowdown in productivity growth. So it was something like we were growing at a clip of about 2.1%, which dropped to 1.2 in the early 2010s. And then it's gone even further lower now, to the point of not being sustainable, not being enough to maintain living standards. And this is why we're seeing this cost of living crisis that we're in right now. Yet we've got AI, we've got blockchain, we've got quantum on the radar as well. We've got these technologies that can help us get out of this if we do things in the right way. There's a lot of government investment in this space, so we'll look forward to seeing how that's actually applied. And we as an industry group, we need to fight. We need to share these examples, share these stories, and really make sure that we're getting the funding that we need, the support that we need to drive this place forward. So it was really great to see that talk as part of day one. It was also great to see that Protocol Theory and Alison Goss from over there sharing insights about a survey that they had put out to the members of Blockchain Australia before this event, and they were sharing the results. And something that they had spoken about was basically this need to advocate for understanding customers to create that shared value. So customers at the center. There's no point in doing things unless you're putting yourself in customers' shoes and really showing them how to pave that way forward, but at the same time understanding the needs and the things that they want. So building with the customer in mind, and that sort of thing will lead us to better outcomes when it comes to how to get your product or your service out there. Because as she said, people don't buy products or services. They buy outcomes. They buy, they might talk about these experiences and stuff, but if they're not getting good quality, good outcomes that they're after, what they expect and more, then they're not going to be customers anymore. So really drive that home, and she did it really well, that customers must be at the center of all of this. So that was also part of day one. And then we had some other guests up on stage. We had Bernie from Stables showing us what they've done with international remittance and the other projects that they're going to work on opening up new markets. We also had Jonathan Hatch from SIKE up there. He's on the innovation side, and he was talking about all the great things that are happening in the market and how ASIC is there to support. And he was expressing this desire to basically support the blockchain space early with stakeholders. So if you are in this space, to engage early. They're looking to develop a regulatory regime in this space, and we that have been involved in this space have known that this is something that is coming. It's coming soon, and it's just going to provide a lot of clarity for those that are working building and just experiencing this space. So look out for that. It's really exciting times here in Australia. And then it was off to the panels before I had to leave for the day just after lunch and get back to the office to do some work. But we had some great things like the blockchain builders of ACS sharing the various projects that they're working on. We also had a panel on what on earth are you building, where innovators discussed their projects, including dApp deployment technologies, AI juries were even mentioned, blockchain engineering solutions, and NFT gaming. So that was really great. And then the final panel that I saw just before lunch was Building Tomorrow, Integrating Cloud, DLT, AI, and Automation. Definitely a mouthful there, but it was worth the panel, worth the watch. They talked about the integration of blockchain and AI was a key topic. The importance of having a clear use case. So going back to what Alison said, having that clear use case and having that something that, is really providing outcomes for a customer. So that was really important. And then it was the potential of AI for portfolio analysis was mentioned as one of the examples there. And to start small when it comes to using AI in your project, whether you're in blockchain or whether you're in AI, or even just, any other industry, if you're going to use AI, just start off small, start with a small use case. It's what a lot of our customers with NC are doing when it comes to SIKE. They're using it in just test use cases first, tweaking it to make it work for them, and then going up further. So that is the right way to do it. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, and now it's over to SIKE and some of the things that have been going on with our AI platform. So first up, it's consistent content, or what we're calling consistent stories as well. So this happens where maybe you're trying to write some sort of guide or outline for a book or training manual or even an actual story. How do you do that when it comes to something where it's just a chat thread that you're going back and forth with? You might have an example, and we had a client with this where, actually a couple of them, and this is why we created a video, which you'll see in the show notes. You probably watched it already, but if not, check this one out. And what it is a better way to have consistency when it comes to things that have chapters or continuous kind of stories. So maybe you have instructions for chapter 1. And you have that, you've got another piece of information on the style, you've got another piece of information maybe on the characters and other things relating to that story. And you use all of those bits of information maybe in a large chat thread, or a large chat query. So you have this large prompt that you've saved, and then you get this piece of output. And then the next thing you want to do is get the AI to take into account that output for chapter 1 and take into account the new instructions for chapter 2 and keep the style and keep consistent characters. And it just becomes this really messy thing to keep a track of. Now with SIKE Dreams and showing it here on screen, you can see that what we've done is basically have a way for you to keep a note for the style, keep a note for the chapter, different chapter instructions. So we start off with chapter 1 first. And then to keep it all in order, instead of having to remember what is the query that you need to write for this, all you need to do is actually just have something where you just have a set of instructions in this instructions note and just say run instructions. And here is the instructions for just doing chapter 1, for example. Or you could even put in here that if I say create chapter or write chapter, and I say it's chapter 1 or chapter 2, it adheres to the rules because it knows to look for, if it's chapter 5, I need to look for the output of chapter 4, and I need to look for chapter 4 instructions. You can do these really clever step-by-step guides with some rerouting of basically the decision tree, the steps that it needs to take. This is what they spoke about when it said that, when people said that we were going to have programming in English. The new and the best kind of programming language, as Andre Karpathy has said in this tweet here, is going to be English. And he's absolutely right. Here is proof in the pudding about how you can do it. Now we're doing this in SIKE Dreams, which is a great area for ideation. But you can also do this in the Teams area in SIKE as well. And in the Teams area, here's where you get to have instructions in a daisy chain set of different AI agents that are actually following along with what it is that you want them to do. So if it's a review of a document, maybe the first agent is looking up the document and doing some initial analysis. The second agent is looking at that same document, looking at what the initial agent has done in terms of analysis, and then picking up where there are gaps. So using AI in clever ways, doing things that you might do as a normal part of your work, is something that we can do easily with AI, and having that human in the loop, making sure that you are checking the work, that's also very important as well. But yeah, check out this video on consistent stories. I think it's really important and it may help you today. Another thing that you might find useful when it comes to SIKE, and we've shown this in one of the early videos, I think, for the Australian DeFi Association. Actually, no, we didn't. We showed how you would create using AI from scratch. Like, how would you have done this project? So maybe you've done this project, or we have created the actual Oz DeFi Association, but how would the AI have done it? So there is an area to do that. But something else we have been using SIKE for is to take the transcript from things like whether it's this recording or it's the meetups that we run, and throwing that into a set of AI agents as a project team to get them to do something where they're daisy chaining their instructions, following one after the other, each of them showing you their work to get to a final outcome. In this case, it was for a LinkedIn post, but these are the sorts of things that you can do when it comes to agents. And so having them check each other's work, having them do these things where they can basically follow a set of instructions, and by breaking things down into these sub prompts where each agent is doing something separate, it reduces that issue of hallucinations that we often get when it comes to just using AI without these constraints. So the way that we see it, and we've spoken about this many a time when it comes to reducing the randomness and just tackling the issues of hallucinations, it comes to context that you give it. You still need to be involved in making sure it's looking at the right things, reviewing if it's pulling back something from the internet, making sure it's got the right sources, and then it's going to do the work on it. But in terms of doing that work, we reduce that randomness and the potential for hallucinations by breaking things down into these different steps. As we mentioned, you can do it with SIKE Dreams area by putting in an instructions note, or you can do it in the Teams area by telling each of the agents underneath what they need to do. Rather than getting an agent to do 10 steps all at once, you break it down and you reduce that randomness, you reduce the chances of hallucination, and you just get much better outputs. And now you can do that with any other kind of chat tool, chat thread tool, but it's harder to do. So with SIKE in a layout like this, whether it's in Dreams or it's in Teams, it is so much easier. So definitely check out the videos, various videos we've got showcasing these use cases, and just let us know if we can help you out with that. Final thing on SIKE is that if you are interested in this space, and we've sent out details to all of our customers and potential customers and folks that we're talking to about SIKE and have demoed and seen it and are on that decision journey about it now, we have created a Discord, and that Discord, it's much like you would see in the Web3 space, and similar to what OpenAI have got as their customer support and community forum, and similar to Midjourney, which you might be using for images. Our Discord is there to provide examples, to early showcase some new features, and just to have this build up of a community that is going to help each other. Like, we'll be there to help, but it's also the community that is going to help each other do these things. So if you are interested in this and you say haven't seen SIKE, let me know, because it's an early chance to get involved in the Discord community. So check that out as well. All right, so that's pretty much it for the rest of this show. This week is going to be a big set of events. Not Centralized is involved in the Australian DeFi Association event, which is on Thursday night. So that's going to be over at Stone and Chalk. So you'll probably be seeing this on a Wednesday, but check that out. If you're not already registered, make sure you jump on there. There is a waiting list, so just hit me up if you are stuck or anything, and we'll see what we can do for you. And then we're also involved in a couple of Blockchain Week events. So Arturo is going to be speaking on a panel about stable coins and CBDCs. You would have seen that we put out an article. So we were part of the RBA pilot project to test how a CBDC could work. And then we also were part of doing some more work into that space, looking at how you can have blockchain-driven economies potentially without a CBDC. So check out the article here, and you can see more on our thoughts on that. And then the other thing that we're involved in on Thursday is something called the FinTech Marketplace. So CEOs, managers, executives from payments, banking, open banking, vendors in FinTech, everyone is going to be at this. Well, actually, it's right across the road here. So the ship is gone. You've got the Opera House over there. It's Overseas Passenger Terminal. So there'll be a big conference there on the Thursday. So if you're in the fintech space, or Blockchain Australia Now, Digital Economy Council of Australia, DECA, all of this is around this future of commerce, future of finance, future of payments. that's what all this week is about. So it's really nice that we've got both of those conferences on, and then we'll get to talk about it at Network at probably our biggest event this year for the Australian DeFi Association in Sydney. So really very much looking forward to that. And another thing I'm looking forward to is that the end of this week comes quickly, because by the weekend, by Saturday, I'm going to be dead tired. So it's going to be a big week. I'll see you there. We'll see you around. And if you're interested in anything that we're doing in either the blockchain space or AI, definitely hit us up. I'll leave you with this link here. As you can see, this is basically what we put out last week. We're partnering with Monoova. We're partnering with Redbelly. We're going to be creating new forms of value, tokenization, and just bringing blockchain to traditional markets. We can't do it without our partners. We learned that from working on the RBA pilot with the digital CRC, digital finance CRC, DFCRC there, I'll say it again, with them at the helm of this project with the RBA, and a lot of groups working together and partnering, it led us to creating something like this, where now we've got Redbelly and Monoova all partnering together to create new forms of value. So there's going to be more news on that kind of stuff. You'll see a few of the representatives speaking at this Thursday's event, and you'll see more out in the news in terms of the projects that we're working on. So it's really exciting times in both blockchain and AI. So if you're into emerging tech as someone that works in this space, an investor, etc., there's really good things going on. So just stay tuned and make sure to subscribe to this channel. I'm Mark. I will see you next week.